Yo, what up? Welcome back to Grizz 901, your favorite in the post game that we only have 4 left, including tonight. Tonight's going to be a special episode as we break down whatever that was of the, hey, try not to win, but try not to lose game, where Wemby is still blocking everybody on his way to the locker room. But tonight we're going to get to the Grizzlies losing 102-87 to the San Antonio Wembies. But we're going to get into the full game recap. And then the second segment we have Grizz 901. So make sure you, Grizz Trivia, not Grizz. This is Grizz 901, Grizz Trivia. And then from there, we're going to get into a little bit of question and answer with Francis Carlotta, who is our guest here today. We're going to make sure we send him through the ringer. We're going to ask a lot of questions about the Memphis Tigers, the Grizzlies, and the draft. What's going on with Calipari? Like, is he going to Arkansas? Does anybody know? There's a lot surrounding it. I also want to ask one question, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to tease it, but it's about Milt Chamberlain. And if you know, you know. Let's go ahead and get to the show. Yo, what up, Francis? How are you, man?
Oh my gosh. Daniel Greer, what's going on? Good to actually talk with you. Good to be on Grizz 901. It's like a crossover episode, from like an old show. It's what this feels like to me.
It is. If anybody knows, Francis does the Memphis Tigers post-game show. It is very new this year. It's the first year that you've done it. But it's the first year that Bluff City Media has done anything. We kind of came in as Grizz 901 last year, kind of ended the season. This is our first full year. The thing is, from the first season we did it, the half season, whatever it was, we learned so much to the point where we kind of grow a little bit of a fan base, grow some friends around here. Second year, this year, it's been fun. The season sucked. It's been so much fun, but we've learned ourselves. And so I can't wait to see what happens and what it looks like next year, because next year, we all hope, should be pretty good for the Tigers.
Hey, that's the hope. And I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, it's all about a learning process from here. First, we didn't even have a full season to do it. I think we started in January of this year. So we basically had half a season where I was approached to do it. I obviously said yes and did the best I could. And I look forward to, I've learned a lot from watching your show, Daniel, and I mean that with all sincerity. I learned a lot hearing you host and you talk with people and how insightful you are. And hearing other people at Bluff City Media, I just want to be a sponge and try and learn as much and grow as a host as possible. That's all I'm trying to do.
Well, dude, listen, you're on the right track, and I appreciate the kind words for sure. But I got to ask you one question. This might be the hardest question of the night. Is it 1-2-3 Cancun for the Grizzlies?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If this is the hardest it gets on the show for me, then hey, I'm happy. That's the hardest it gets. Yeah, it's 1-2-3 Cancun. This team looks about as checked out as I was. I just came back from Chicago and I was exhausted. That trip was tiring. They're about as checked out as I was yesterday. So yeah, they're done. They're done. They played with basically like you said, it's minimal effort as needed to just play the game of basketball, but not actively give it their 110,000% to try and get a win on a Tuesday night in April. So yeah.
What they didn't do, they didn't turn up on a Tuesday. I promise you that. It's probably turned down for what maybe. But all right, I'm probably too white to be into the rap lingo, whatever I am. But I will say that the Grizzlies overall, they looked okay. But I want to get off the top rope from you. Like in the very beginning, this game looked different in the first quarter, bleeding into the second quarter a little bit. Like what was different for you, or what do you think from the first quarter, first half to the second half?
I think a willingness to still attack the rim and try and get to spots on the offensive side. They didn't seem afraid to try and impose themselves into the game. And that was the most encouraging thing for me. They kept the foot on the pedal offensively and defensively. I thought the rotations were clean. Their effort, the way they defended was also with purpose. That's a big thing for me. I love when I can see teams play with a purpose. There aren't wasted movements, and they play with a purpose in the first quarter. And then maybe sports conspiracy or whatever, maybe somebody from the GM was like, "Hey, that's enough. Like that's got to stop because this is a bit too much. This is too much good things are happening because it was just a total flip of the switch. It was night and day in terms of effort, execution, energy. It was a total change. But the first part of the game, I thought they played pretty purposeful and with some genuine want to win.
Wow. So looking at just overall, the first quarter was 25-16. And then realistically, 32-24, the Spurs outscored the Grizzlies. And so I will say that scoring 25 and then 24 doesn't seem like that big of a fall off. But I will say is 25 points in a quarter is not good just overall. But what happened is we're talking about the third quarter here, 29-12. The Spurs run out. 12 points in a quarter is the lowest point total for a quarter the entire season, which is a Grizz trivia stat if we want to hit that one. But the fact that they come back and in the fourth quarter, another 26-point quarter just shows that this team doesn't have all the pieces. And we know that. That's probably the most simple statement of the season. But I will say is if you look at if they go cold shooting, they're done. And I think we saw that tonight completely. But overall, not too much to be upset about. But like you said, I do think that the care level was kind of low. But as Heaven's Healthy Kitchen says, good first quarter, 100%. And it was a good first quarter. But after that, it was a turnoff kind of game. Shout out to Great Ambition, becoming a YouTube member here at Bluff City Media. If you want to be a Bluff City Media YouTube member, just hit the join button. It's at the bottom of the live stream. So make sure you do that. But just let's go ahead and look through some of these chat questions real quick. I had some that I wanted to make sure. Heaven's Healthy Kitchens also, Pippen almost caught a body late in the game. Bro, what? Is that like end of the season? Like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, no question. No question. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the effort.
Yep. All right. So P9, welcome. I have not seen you in here, so I appreciate it. But we are tanking right now. 100%. Just look at the guys that are on this roster. Key Mix always coming in here. What's good, man? And then Black Ninja DJ wants to know, give me Becky Hammond. What's your thoughts? Do you like Taylor Jenkins, like overall as the coach of the Grizzlies going forward?
Yeah, it's a hot topic, right? In Grizz Twitter, Grizz Nation, talking about TJ and who's going forward. And shout out to Anthony Singh talking about trying to get Don Staley to coach the Grizz. That for one, that would just be cool. Like, basketball X's those, that would just be really cool. But either way, it's hard for me to say a definitive yes or no just because of what's the lack of health on this roster. I want to see them be fully healthy with Marcus Smart, with a healthy Ja, with Triple J, with the emergence of GG Jackson, with the emergence of Vince Williams. Then I'm a wait and see mode. Let's give Taylor about 20, 25 games next year with a healthy roster. And if Memphis is, barely above water at about 13-12, and they're not hitting the mark that we expect, then okay, let's talk about it. Let's have a real discourse about Taylor Jenkins. But if the Grizzlies are 20-5, 17-8, like if they're humming along, playing good basketball, and TJ's doing a good job as a coach, and they're clicking their synergy, then yeah, I think he can still do it. The last thing I'll say on this before we move on, Taylor Jenkins is still a fairly young coach. He's still, I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, Dale, his 6th season or his 7th?
I believe so. He's been here all of Jaren's seasons, and I know he's been here 5 years. I don't know if he's 6 or not. Hey, one of you go look it up. We got things to do. We're trying to run a show.
I don't know the top of my head, but either way, he's still a young NBA coach, still trying to learn, and I'm willing to give him still more time with a fully healthy roster to prove what he can do.
Yeah. Well, I promise you that the chat 100% will figure out a way to give us the answer. I'm going to do my best. Did you know me and Taylor are the same height? We're both 6'3". I knew that when I walked up, took a picture with him. I was like, whoa, okay. Nice. All right. So the Black Ninja DJ, I knew I could count on you. 5. So he's been here for every Jaren year, I believe. That is, they match up, I believe, the exact same. But when he came in, that's when they came in the same time. So But I do want to ask a question about TJ, and this is going to be just the last thing I want to talk about with Taylor Jenkins. But we're talking about a guy who has done well over the past couple seasons, gotten him, not just him. I don't want to ever say that he's done it, but at the helm, as the head coach, his team has successfully been the second in the West back-to-back seasons, and then just a weird year, as King Meek points out, a 179 and 130 record. So overall, a very good record as a coach. He's gotten us to this point. I understand that, hey, it's either like, hey, S or get off the pot at this point, because this team has to grow up, and sometimes they grow up ahead of you. But I will say next year, let's say that the Grizzlies just go ho-hum sixth in the West, right? So a decent record, sixth in the West, nothing crazy. They win their first round, but lose the second round. With all things considered and with complete unknown, if I gave you that, would you say, do you think it's time for us to move on? Or do you think there's some other things that would have to make you have to happen to make you move on from him?
That's a hell of a question.
Thank you.
I think it would be time. I think it would be time to move on.
Okay,
Daniel. I think I'd be willing to pull the plug, because the sixth in the West and a second round exit that's like Doc Rivers level crap. Like that's what that is. And I do not like Doc Rivers. I've been very clear about that on Twitter and for a long time. That's Doc Rivers level type stuff. And it would be time for the Grizzlies with a young core. And so the counter to it, like, oh, they have a young core, they're going to be together for a while, but it's still the NBA. Superstars ask for trades all the time. You just don't know what's going to happen. You need to take advantage of windows. And I feel like if the Grizzlies just middle of the pack, like we said, sixth in the West, borderline play-in team, hell, if they make the play-in next year, if they're only a play-in team next year and they're fully healthy, to whatever realistic degree of being fully healthy means, then Taylor Jenkins is probably gone. Like if they're a playing team, he's gone, like in my opinion. And the other thing is, when you fire a coach, you have to think about who's better, who's out there. And I think there's a good crop of assistant coaches, of other former head coaches, and just I think you can find someone who would be better than Taylor Jenkins. I think that would be possible. So if the season goes in the way that you just mentioned, Daniel, yeah, I'll hot take it. I'll be willing to pull the plug.
So if for whatever reason, you're ready to hire a coach the next year, for whatever happens, they end up getting rid of him, and you're going to look for a coach, what are your kind of lower expectations for hiring? So mine, just personally, is they need to already have been a coach on an NBA level. Whether it is the G League, I'm fine with that. If they're an up-and-coming G League coach, I'm okay with that. That would be the very, very low bar. But they need to be a head coach before, and they need to have a little bit of experience. I don't want a new person in here for the simple reason is you have, issues you have to get past, but also you have the unknown. With a team that's ready to compete for a championship, I don't want the unknown. And so that's where I stand on that. But what's the low bar for you? Is there anything that you're like, hey, I wouldn't go get somebody with that experience, or I wouldn't go do this because I think this team is set up for success?
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment, Daniel. I'll think about it from a I'm a big Premier League soccer guy.
Okay,
So I'll think about it from a Premier League soccer club where some teams have a young roster and they hire a young coach to grow with the team.
Correct.
Some teams do the opposite. Some teams have a young roster and they hire an experienced coach to try and have them grow up. Now, the pros and cons is you get a young coach with a young team, then you're just young and immature overall. And there's going to be a lot of bumps and a lot of bruises and a lot of problems. And if you get an experienced coach with a young team, then the experienced coach might not garner the relatability with the players. Correct. And they might not want to listen to you, or et cetera, et cetera. There's pros and cons to whatever tactic. From my perspective, I think I'm with you, Daniel, because there are definitely barometers. I think they had to have at least been an assistant coach at the NBA level, an assistant coach maybe at the G League level, or a head coach. I'd say head coach G League level, assistant coach in the NBA would be my baseline. And then
like a head
after
assistant.
that, right, like a head,
Okay.
like a head assistant. And then after that, I would like someone with a little more just age and a wealth of knowledge
Yeah.
that they could impart upon, which is, let's be still real about this roster, a still young roster.
Exactly.
And so I think that experience would be important. Like, I'm not looking for a Lionel Hollins type or a Hubie Brown type. The sweet spot would be where I'm at.
Yeah. Listen, I love that answer. And as everybody's saying, Doc, some Doc Rivers hate completely. I don't want a guy like a Doc Rivers, like somebody who's been there and he kind of comes in, swoops and poops, and then see you later. Like that. I don't want a guy like that. I need somebody that's going to be here and that wants to be here, but also, maybe he's unproven, but there's potential there. And that's, so it's tough, but I do want to hit on that. But all right, let's get back to the game real quick. There's a lot I want to hit on in the next few minutes, and then we're going to move into some Grizz trivia, but also a little bit of question answer. I got some Tigers questions, and I know there's other NCAA basketball questions. But the rest of you, I've already seen one. Thank you. Leading by example as always. Black Ninja DJ. But if you have any questions at all, hashtag Francis, hashtag Carlotta. Is it Carlotta? Is that right?
Carlotta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought so. Okay. Make sure. But hashtag Francis, whatever you want to put in there, hashtag something. That way I can see it in the very beginning. We'll make sure we kind of hold that for the second segment. So whatever questions you have, go ahead and put them in as we go, and we'll make sure we ask them right after Grizz trivia. But we do have a lot of talk about the Grizzlies. 102-87, losing tonight. Just overall, it was a meh game. It lost my attention in the second half. I had other things to do, mainly putting the kids to bed. But besides that, mainly it was, a snooze fest. But the one thing I do want to point out, overall, everything else is the 19 rebounds and 10 points and 5 assists from Jordan Goodwin. Anything surprise you out of Jordan Goodwin, or does he just continue to keep surprising you?
I remember watching him play in the past, and I always thought to myself, that is a dude who hustles. He is he plays with a reckless abandon. Is he the most skilled player on the floor? No. Is he always going to shoot the lights out? No. But he's always going to play his heart out every time he's on the floor. And that's exactly what you saw with the stat line of 10 points, 19 rebounds. Like, what is that? Like, that's unbelievable. He had 19 boards. Dale, you know this, and probably the people watching this and who saw the game know this as well. But for anyone who didn't watch the game and is just tuning into the show to hear how the game went, Brandon Clark had 1 rebound.
Wow. He
had 1. What's that? Like, that's a Grizz trivia right there. Talking about a game, like this anomaly of a game. That's insane. Like that is absolutely ridiculous. This is Jordan Goodwin. And I know there's a lot of discussion on roster spots going into next year, who are going to get those last few roster spots. That's what's the most intriguing part about the last few games. These are basically tryouts for the Jordan Goodwins, the Trey Jemisons, the Scottie Pippen Juniors. Like that's what this is. Yeah. And that's interesting. That is interesting to see, because this is their chance to show what they can do on an NBA roster, getting real minutes playing against these teams. But this, to me, that's just Jordan Goodwin being a dog. Like, this is an absolute dog. And so shout out to him for sure.
Yeah, no, that was a good pull from you on the Brandon Clark stuff. But it's incredible that a guy just how tall is Jordan Goodwin? He's got to be 6'3" or shorter.
Yeah, I was about to say he's about 6'3". Yeah,
he says he's labeled at 6'4" in here, but I believe he's 6'3" is what they said on the commentary. Listen, the fact that he is involved so much, it just goes to show me that it doesn't take athleticism. It doesn't take much of anything else other than just kind of being involved and having a little bit of heart, a little hustle, as we always said. But 19 rebounds is crazy. Did you know that he actually leads the team in rebounds per game? Like, it's nuts.
I saw that on Twitter. Yeah, and talked about that. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Who needs Steven Adams? That's why they traded him away. Was to get for Jordan Goodwin to get all the rebounds. We just now need him to grow about 8 inches and maybe get some wind on him. But otherwise, that's
like it. Yeah. As you talked about, Brandon Clark, 14 points, 1 rebound, 7 of 12 from the floor. I do like that. I hate the 1 rebound and 0 assist. GG 11, 4, and 2, 2 of 8 from deep. He struggled. He had back-to-back 3-pointers, but he did struggle. Trey Jemison 14, 9, and 2. Scottie Pippen Jr. Another solid game out of him. I liked him, tonight overall, other than the 0 of 5 from deep. But I think that was everybody from deep. It was disgusting. But 14, 7, and 5 overall for Scottie Pippen Jr. And then Zaire Simpson, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Timmy Allen was 6, 4, and 2. And then Jack White, who's the newest member of the team, 6 and 2, and no assists. And so overall, it is what it is. But I want to bring up one thing. The reason I think this team is not good right now is 3-point percentage, 6 of 30 from Black and DJ. Finding that out, 6 of 30 is practically just disgusting. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with that, but that's the reason that this team looks the way they did tonight, and that's why they lost. Is they came out guns a-blazing, getting up and down the floor. And once that kind of just went away, then the Spurs catch back up. They hit some outside shots, and the game's over. But any other takeaways from this game? I don't want to hit on it too much because I don't think there's much to talk about. But either side of the ball, either the Spurs or the Grizzlies, any other comments you want to hit on?
Two things about the 3-point thing. Part of why, at least from what I saw, that they just couldn't hit the broadside of a board from 3 is because they didn't have enough dribble penetrators to draw 2 defenders and get open looks from 3. Like, a lot of the shots they took were really contested because they just couldn't really get to the hole and force defenders to leave their man and create open looks. They were just chucking shots up because they didn't really have any real dynamic ball handlers to create looks for other people. And the guys shooting aren't good enough off the dribble to create good looks for themselves. Breaking news, we're not just going to have Steph Curry enter our locker room and create threes for himself. So that's a big reason why they just couldn't hit anything from deep. And then the other thing is, too, I have to highlight that 3-on-1 fast break where it was BC. I'm forgetting the other 2 people, but Wemby at the rim, and they just play hot potato with the ball.
Yeah.
And it's just, they basically had a panic attack on the floor just because they saw an alien from a different universe at the rim. That's what happened. The Grizzlies, they crapped their pants. They didn't know what to do on a 3-on-1 fast break. Yep. That's unbelievable, man. Wemby is so scary as a basketball player. The fact that he's a rookie, the fact that he hopefully, as a basketball fan, hopefully he gets better and stays healthy. That is an unbelievable thought for the future of the NBA. I'll ask you a question, Daniel.
Yeah.
What do you think if you're the Spurs GM, what would be your first move to support Wemby? What would be your first move?
Wow. The first thing I would do is get a ball dominant point guard.
Yes.
Because I think you have to have somebody that can set him up, but also I think they have the shooting. If you look at, around, they have Devin Vassell,
Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, Keldon Johnson. They have the shooting enough. I do think they need a good floor general, for the simple fact is you got to be able to put Wemby in the right spots and not have to just throw it up to him like they do a lot of times. But also, what that should do is put the other guys in position as well to hit open shots, because then you can maybe game plan off of maybe the defense sinking into him, where you can throw it in and then it kick back out to more open shots. I don't know. I know I've seen this from right here from King Meeks. He's saying Trae Young. I don't know if I love Trae Young in that spot. I do love that he can stretch the floor, and you don't really need him to play defense as much. But I believe that you're gonna see how people will guard against him and play against him next year against Wemby compared to this season, because you're talking about a season where you've gotten a little bit of tape on him, and maybe you figure out how to go against him. But I think that we're seeing games against the Grizzlies kind of in a nutshell, where we see him and how dominant he is. I don't watch him enough, outside of really playing the Grizzlies, outside of a few games here and there. So I don't really see how the rest of the league is going against him, but I know he's dominating. So there's nothing you can do. Wemby's going to be a freak. It's just, can you beat them? And obviously you can. It's just, what do you put around him? And it's a good question, but I think it's got to be a ball dominant point guard.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I'm with King Mix. Trae Young is my
Wow.
personal shout because think about also whenever you make a trade, you need someone who's willing to make the trade with you. And you need to have the perfect partner. Atlanta's going to tank and blow it up. Tank might the wrong word. They're going to blow it up is what Atlanta's trying to do. I've been on record stating that Atlanta should blow it up. They are the definition of an average team in the NBA, and they need this. They need to make a change. They don't have good. They don't have draft assets. They don't have a history of making good draft picks either. Daniel, if you have free time, go Google Atlanta Hawks first-round draft picks in the past 10 years, and you will be shocked. It's bad. It's really bad, their draft pick history. And so Atlanta would be a good trade partner. And a Trae Young, I think, is that player you're describing. So I think it's a match made in heaven. That Atlanta can get assets for Trae Young, and San Antonio can get a superstar, can get a genuine superstar who can be that floor spacer and floor general for San Antonio. So I'm with the King Mix. It's Trae Young.
The more I talk about it, the more I like it, just because the three ball is really what makes me fall in love. But also what he has is he loves a good pick and roll. And so if you can pick and roll him and get him to that free throw line, that little teardrop floater is just beautiful. There's not a lot of people that do it better than him. I know he reminds me so much of Tyus Jones when it comes to that little teardrop floater right there in the lane. And like you said, it is the touch. And so I do like that. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Trae. That's probably what it comes down to. I don't like Trae Young. He pisses me off. It's mainly the hair. The hair looks like it's stuck to a sucker.
Looks like a Gerber baby. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. I got a question for me. You think we add more players to sign for the final 3 games so we can have 35 players? No, we're done. I thank God this is kind of over at this point, like the signing of the players. And listen, I know who Jack White is. He went to Duke. He's mid. He's probably lower than mid. He's not good. He was just probably getting a favor because I think that he's actually been with the Grizzlies before at some point. I think he was brought in at the very beginning of the season with the hustle, I do believe. But I don't know if he stuck around for any long stretch at all. But I do think that we're going to see, Jack White, his final 3 games, and we'll be done with him. But that'll for sure be it. All right, let's go ahead and kind of move on. But my final thoughts on the game, nothing crazy. I think the Grizzlies played okay. Criticize it too much. But the one thing I want to tell you about is Street Cars of Memphis, regular maintenance to your car, plus all the modification needs from speakers, speakers, lights, don't go lives, but lights, lifts, and wheels. They can modify them all. They are the official comment section sponsor here at Grizz 901. If you want to use the code Grizz 901, you can get a $55 oil change or a $65 full synthetic. That's an oil change at cost. Huge savings taking place down at Street Cars of Memphis. Check them out online at 901scm.com, or you can call 901-323-3332. Schedule your oil change, maintenance, or customization service today. So shout out to Street Cars of Memphis. They have kind of come in the last half of the year as our sponsor of the comment section. We're trying to name them. I don't know if you know that. We're trying to name the comment section. We've thrown out so many names. We want a family type name. That way I can refer to the guys, the comment section, the girls. I don't want to keep saying guys because we have a lot of girls that come in here. And so I want to try to eventually name them. So eventually, as Wayno's saying, the Grizz Pit Crew, no, that's not it. We're trying. Listen, we're terrible at naming, but we're going to try our best.
I'm so bad at names. Yeah, I'm horrendous. I'm going to be no help for the names. I'm so bad.
No, we'll figure it out. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to do Grizz trivia, and then we're going to get into all of our Francis questions, but also my questions for you. And I promise you, the Milt Chamberlain question is coming. We'll be right back.
What do you think is more of a priority for this team? Because you're starting to hear a lot of rumors coming out about teams that are willing to make trades. I'm a big wing guy. This is Memphis. We barbecue in Wing City. So I also understand the importance of big men. The best players in the league are all bigs.
If you're making a player in a lab, absolutely you want to build a Paul George player. You want to build the big wing, Kevin Durant, whatever. Like
Gigi Jackson.
Yeah, or Gigi Jackson, which actually I was thinking about. Well, what about Gigi, Anthony? But unfortunately, those guys aren't out there. And like, even when you start naming specific names of guys you want to get, like the quality drop off goes down quick. I do think the Grizzlies' easiest avenue to immediately improving next year and getting on the cusp of like being, like a Western Conference finalist, or maybe if you get all the great breaks going your way, is improving your center spot. But there's just more of those guys I feel like available to help you out.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Yo, welcome back to Grizz 901. I am Daniel. We're bringing in Francis Carlotta here of the Memphis Tigers postgame show. What's it actually? What's it the real name?
Tigers Live.
Tigers Live. I knew there was something else. And the other name that we go by is Pews. Flower shops and commercial landscape maintenance. Pews has been around for 30 plus years servicing the Mid-South. But did you know that Pews also does residential lawn care? Pews Residential Spray can take care of all your weed control and fertilization needs. They do mine. They can do yours. If you want to create that perfect weed-free lawn, then call Pews Residential Spray today for that free estimate. They will not come out to California. I can promise you that. But here in the Mid-South, they can take care of you. Call them today for a free estimate, 901-633-2118, and let them know that the Grizz 901 crew sent you. And remember that Pews, you get big company strength, small company value. Let's get the Grizz trivia. All right, Francis, I have two. I have one that if you know, you're going to know. If you don't know, then we're going to stick with that one. But if you know it, I have a backup question. So this is King Meek's favorite thing to do. All right, we're going to talk about the Grizzlies here. And my question for you is the Grizzlies. They have had so many different starting lineups over the year. Do you know how many different starting lineups they have had?
50.
It's an easy one. I knew you knew. The Grizzlies now hold the record tonight with having the 50th starting lineup, but I knew you would know that. Nate would not know. He doesn't pay attention. All right, so I have another question because this is what I was going to do. Look at Miss Ann. Look at you coming out of nowhere with the 50 burger. I like it. All right, Ann, you're back on the clock. See if you can get this one. The Grizzlies, they have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players since the Memphis Grizzlies became an actual franchise. This is not Vancouver. Let's not think back too far. This is starting when they were here. They have had 7 players don the number 0. Can you name any of them? Can you name 4 of the 7, Francis?
Bonzi Wells. Is that one? Dang, he didn't wear I know Gilbert Arenas was a Grizzly, but did he wear 0? Dang, he didn't wear 0. His name is Agent 0. Let's see.
I can only tell you what I'm looking at. I don't know.
No, I believe you. Listen, Darrell Arthur was 00, but I don't think that counts.
Nope, it does not count.
Oh man, I'm just.
I will. Let me give you one.
Sure.
There's a guy on the roster that's wearing it currently.
Oh, I remember seeing this. I forgot.
He played tonight.
Yeah, I forgot my brain. I forgot.
He signed to a 10-day. Timmy Allen.
That's right. He had a couple shots.
There's another guy who wore it for the past 2 seasons who is no longer on the team now.
Past 2 seasons, no longer on the team.
He's a hustler, baby.
I don't know, but didn't D'Anthony wore 0, didn't he?
D'Anthony Melton did wear the number 0.
Okay, so I got Melt. I got that.
Melton wore it for 3 seasons.
Who are you? Who is the guy you're mentioning?
Jacob Gilliard, the short king.
Dang. Love Gilly too. Dang it. That's
all right. So you're pretty much the last from 2020 all the way to 2024. We've given you the 3. Well, I guess you got the Melton one, but there's a 3. There's 4 more besides that. One of them was a top draft pick. I want to say he was definitely in the top 5. I don't know when.
OJ Mayo?
Nope.
Dang, he wore 0.
The crew has gotten, so we've seen, D'Anthony Melton for sure. Black Ninja DJ has given another one that is correct. David Roddy did not. King, who is that? Nope. David Roddy, nope. King Meeks, he did not. He wore like 27, I believe. All right.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that I'm doing so bad on this too. It really bothers me.
Well, it's very tough because listen, there's one guy I know you won't get because I've never heard his name, and it's Theron Smith. He played in 2004. Don't know who that is, so I didn't expect you to get that. But the first one that I expect you to get was Drew Gooden.
Oh yeah, Drew Gooden for sure.
He was the first one ever to wear the number 0 for the Memphis Grizzlies. And then another guy who played for 5 seasons wearing the number 0. I believe he is now, I think he won a ring, I believe. JaMychal Green?
Yes, he did wear 0. Yes. Dang it.
It's all coming back. And the last one, which is a tough one because he wasn't here very long, and I believe he was sent out to the Lakers during the season he wore the number. He played well for the season he played. Avery Bradley.
Yeah, Avery Bradley. That's right. I thought I had him. I thought Avery Bradley. And I thought he wore number 2. That's what I had in my head. But I think that's what Derek Fisher wore. And so in my mind, for some reason, I combined those two people. I did my best. I gave him my best shot.
King Mings still don't know why we drafted Drew Gooden. Listen, we sent him out after a year, brought back Mike Miller, and so that was the whole reason for that. I do believe that was the trade. But listen, it's hard when you're on the clock because these ones, like I would have bombed it completely. But I was trying to think of a hard one just in case you got that first one very easy because I thought that was an easy one. So I had to come with a hard one on that one. So we've asked a lot. It's me kind of come up with these, and it's very tough. I will say it's almost tougher to come up with it than it is actually answering them.
No, that's a good trivia question.
I'm searching. I'm searching. All right, let's get out of Grizz trivia and let's go ahead and get into some of these Ask Francis, and then we're going to get into even more questions as we continue the show because I have a lot of Memphis Tigers. But the Black Ninja DJ wants to know what's your overall feeling for the Grizz approach for the draft, considering how kind of weak it is.
Yeah, I'm with the consensus that they should draft a big. I see some people talk about getting best player available. That's your mentality. I think where the Grizzlies draft, it's possible that the best player available is a big, especially if it's Klingon. As you look at some mock drafts, you go to Tankathon, you look at where teams are. You can do the sim lottery, but even just looking at the top 7 right now, looking at the teams above Memphis, I just don't see why they would draft Klingon. It just doesn't make sense to me. Look at Toronto right ahead of us. They already have Jakob Poeltl, so I don't know why they would get Klingon. Portland, they already have Robert Williams, and they have the dominating, who I absolutely despise, DeAndre Ayton, but they have him. And Spurs, Wemby, so they're not drafting Klingon. Charlotte, they have Mark Williams. I don't think they need to draft. They have Nick Richards. I don't think they're going to draft a big. Wizards, they have Gafford, maybe Klingon.
No, Gafford's down.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
Yep.
You're right. Thank you. That's right. The trade. Thank you so much. So maybe, but I don't know if you draft Klingon at 2nd. I don't think that's a thing if the Wizards get that pick. Detroit, same thing. A lot of bigs. So Klingon's probably going to be available. And if he's available, I just go ahead and draft Klingon. He's everything the Grizzlies need from a 5 spot. I get the hesitation to not want to start a rookie at center in the playoffs. And I get the hesitation. It makes sense to me. But at the same time, I'm not asking for Donovan Klingon to be the pillar of the defense. That's what Jaren Jackson's there for. I want Klingon to complement Triple J. I want it to be an Evan Mobley, Jared Allen type thing. And I think Klingon complements Jaren so well on the defensive side and on the offensive side, because you can have Jaren be on the perimeter because he likes to shoot threes, as we all know, and he's good at it. Yeah. Klingon can do the dirty work down low. He can set screens. He can box out. He can get offensive rebounds. I just don't think Memphis should overcomplicate it. If Klingon's available, you draft Donovan Klingon, and let's just be happy about it. That's my point.
Let's just be happy about it. All right.
Just
So
be happy about it.
you've answered the first one already, talking about Klingon, but Castle. What's your thoughts on it from the Black Ninja DJ as well?
Castle's he's so shifty, man. I think Stephon Castle's a really, really good player. I don't see how he would fit in Memphis, but I mean, he's a very ultra talented guy with genuine shift and shake. My close friend Grant Heckinger said there are two different types of ball players: those with shake and those without shake. I am the type of basketball player, Daniel, who doesn't have shake. That's the type that I am. Just for the record, I don't know if anyone would be confused about that for whatever reason. But Stephon Castle has shake. Like, that dude can move, he can shoot, he can defend too. Like, he's a very good defender because he has a long wingspan and he's quick. I want him to improve his deep shot. But he's a rookie. These dudes shooting three. That's going to be a dime a dozen to find a rookie who doesn't need to improve his 3-point shot. But yeah, Stephon's a stud. He's going to be a very good NBA player.
All right. So you said you and your friends say, they either have shake or not shake. Is that how you said it?
Yep. Shake. You either have shake or you don't have shake. That's it. And I don't have shake. That's the type of basketball player I am.
So I call it wiggle. So
is.
shake and wiggle, very much the exact same, but I like shake as well. So you either have the shake or you don't have the shake. I like a good little wiggle in your hips. So all right, let's go to the next one from King Meeks, and it's going to be your thoughts on the game last night. Obviously, with Edie and just overall, and Klingon going against each other. You talked a lot about Klingon as well, but anything changed to make him a lottery pick or a late pick? What's your thoughts on Edie?
No, I don't think anything's changed at least for my opinion on Zach Edey. He's just an absolute monster on the offensive side. Oddly enough, or maybe not oddly enough, it's the defensive issues that I have with Edey. He can rim protect, but as you saw last night, UConn dudes were not scared at all to attack Zach Edey. They were not scared. They saw him at the rim. It was the opposite of the 3-on-1 against Wemby today. They saw Zach Edey at the rim and said, all right, I'm going to go at you. I'm just going to go at you and see what you can do. You're tall, you're big, you're long, all these good things, but he's not a natural rim protector. He has the physical tools to be a great rim protector, but I think his rim protecting instincts, his blocking instincts are just not there. Plus, he is too flat-footed for me in the NBA that prioritizes switchable bigs, switchability. Yeah. He's too flat-footed for me. He's going to face NBA guards who are quick, who are shifty, and who have shake, and they're going to turn the corner on Edey and be crafty with finishes and draw fouls on him. I just don't think he's good enough on the defensive side to be an elite center. Now, can he be a good center in the NBA? Could he be at the very worst, like a contributor on the bench for an NBA team? Yeah, absolutely. Because offensively, he's that good. He's that big. He's that good around the rim. He still is a great screen setter, and all teams need that. He also has decent instincts as just a basketball player on the offensive side. Right. But defensively, I'm going to need to see something different, which I haven't seen watching Zach Edey all year. He's just been the same guy on the defensive side. As a rim protector, as a switchable big, it's just not there. Like that's the difference between him and Klingon for me. Klingon has all the defensive instincts. You can just see his positioning. You can see how he can switch on the perimeter. Now, again, it'll be against NBA guards, but he can do it and contain. He can drop back. He knows how to play drop coverage in a pick and roll. He can also come up if needed. His defensive instincts don't need to be mega refined, where Edey's, they do. So, yeah, Edey is just who he is for me. And he'll probably, which is like a late first round pick, which is still good. Like he had a great college career. He's going to make money in the NBA. So he should still have a good career.
Yeah. I expect Edey to fall down. And as King Mixie says, he just moves slow. And that's it for me. It's just the slowness, really slow. The slow footwork is Jake like, and I don't like it. All right, let's go to the next thing. This is from Black Ninja DJ, and thoughts on drafting a veteran big man, because the reason he's saying that is if you go, not draft, but if you go get a veteran big man just in general, then you can use that pick and go get like you said a Castle type player, which is, maybe best player available, which is a combo guard, the athleticism, the potential that he references the case in Wallace out of the Thunder. And so any thoughts on maybe, you're going to get a veteran big and then going best player available then?
Yeah, if I wouldn't hate that at all. If they make a trade on when the draft comes up and they trade for a veteran big that checks all the boxes that the Grizzlies need from the 5 spot, why in the world would I be upset about that? I think that'd be fantastic. That'd be great. I just don't see that happening, because when you say veteran big, what does that mean to you? You mean a veteran big that's going to be making $5 million a year, 5 to 10 on what contract?
Yeah.
How good are they actually at being an NBA big man? Just because they're a veteran doesn't mean they're that good. And if you want a young, good big man who, may have been in the NBA for a few years, those dudes are worth a lot of money. They're going to get paid $24-25 million a year on a multi-year contract. And that's just not, I don't think that's something the Grizzlies are looking to take on with their massive payroll right now. So like my pushback to that comment is who is the veteran big you're looking for? Like Andre Drummond? Well, he just had a really good end of his year. He's about to be a free agent and he's going to make money. You get Isaiah Hartenstein. Well, Mitchell Robinson just had issues with injuries and the Knicks really like him and he's a really good big. Do you go get Mitchell Robinson? Similar thing. Contract is, I think, off the top of my head, things like 17, 18 million. I might be wrong. Yeah. But some kind of like a similar thing. And he's injury prone. He just came off of that injury. Yeah. So it's like, what does a veteran big mean to y'all? Like that would be my counter question. So and also I don't think Castle would be available. Like if the Grizzlies draft at 7 or at 6, I think he's off the board. So I think he's off the board.
Yeah. I think that's crazy that he would be off the board at that point, personally. Like I think I know the mock drafts have pushed him up as high as possibly 1 and sometimes 3. I've seen those. We're going to talk a lot about it tomorrow night with Ryan Meadows on the show because we both kind of feel the same way. And my thoughts are probably because of Ryan. Ryan's kind of brainwashed me and thinking on the draft. But I just think that, moving your draft lottery, your mock that much because of a tournament of 6 games potentially,
sure.
just shows that there's not much prep work going into it. And so you're pretty much using your bias thinking into completely switching. But I also say that some of these guys, when the lights are the brightest, they're also growing as a freshman from the first game to like maybe the 40th game, whatever that number is. Like there's a lot of growth that can happen. So I understand freshmen. So I understand Castle and people like that. I just don't know how true it is. Is it just because he had a great flurry at the end of the year? I don't know. And maybe we'll find out, right? Well, I guess we will find out. But I would say I'm the veteran big man. I'm looking for a guy who's making 8 to 10. I'm fine with that. You're talking about a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein. If you want to go get somebody like Andre Drummond, I don't need much. All I need is 20 to 25 minutes a night out of a center. Because what that should do is should dominate your rebounding. And so you're pretty much going to bring in somebody to do that. Even if we do draft Klingon, I'm fine going to get a guy on a 1-year deal, maybe a 1 year with a team option for the second year, and going to get a vet big. Because, hey, like Andre Drummond, listen, dude, we'll give you $8 million. He was making, what's he making, 2 or whatever million this year?
Yeah,
not much.
He was on basically a vet minimum from what I recall. He wasn't. I'll look it up. I don't think he was making that much.
It wasn't much at all on Andre Drummond personally. So I know that we have limited finances, I guess, limited salary cap. But I think a guy like that, you bring him in, with possibly an option from the team. I think you could do that. So that's my thoughts. But
Drummond he was on a 1 to 2 year, $6.56 million. So that equated to basically 3.2 a season. Yeah. So making a little money, but like I said, he had a good end to the year, and he'll probably get paid. He'll want probably like 12 to 14 is what he'll want. If somehow the Grizzlies can sign Drummond to a 1-year deal that's worth $8 million, I think I'd be very happy with it. That's very doable. In terms of financials for a guy of that capability who does check the boxes that we're looking for from a big man. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it. But also at the same time, you look at the depth of the roster.
Right.
What are you looking for? Are you going to rely? You have Jaren, you have BC healthy. So Brandon Clark being healthy is obviously huge. And we all love starting Jaren and BC. We all love the lineups when they're together. Like, you got to be blind to not love those lineups.
Right.
And so you don't also want to sacrifice those lineups, but depth is also still very important. Yeah. So I still don't even mind drafting Klingon. Like you said, drafting Klingon, signing a vet big, I still think would be a good idea because big men get hurt a bunch too. Klingon's coming off an injury as well. So cover is always important. So I think that's a good shot.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. And as Black Ninja DJ, we were thinking the same thing. I said Drummond and Hartenstein, so we were right on with each other. All right. This is the last Grizzlies question, so we're going to move on to a few just about the Tigers overall. Last Grizzlies question. So this is kind of Tigers for either just hoops in general, for Grizzlies, Tigers, whatever. What got your passion started for kind of coming into maybe the fandom, but also media content, any kind of stuff you're doing for Bluff City Media and beyond?
Well, that's a heck of a question. It's really from my dad. My dad is from the Philippines. I'm Filipino, for anyone who does not know. And the Philippines is a massive basketball country. They love basketball. Like, very few countries in the world love basketball. And so when he came to America, my dad, he moved to New York. He lived in Iowa. And so he being in New York, basketball city, Iowa, they love their basketball too. And then he moved to Memphis, and he moved to Memphis back when the Tigers were kind of at their peak of going to the Final Fours with Andre Turner, et cetera, with those legends of the Memphis Tigers team. And he imparted the fandom of being a Memphis Tigers fan upon me and being a basketball fan, just period. We would play basketball together all the time. I would have a 6-foot hoop in my living room as a kid, and me and my dad would practice. We try and beat each other, shooting from whatever, like 15 footers or whatever, from whatever in the living room, just shooting. We do that a ton when I was growing up, and I played all as a kid, and I just loved the game from that moment, and loved the Tigers. When the Grizzlies came to Memphis, naturally the Grizzlies, and it was a perfect match. Memphis is such a great basketball city. Being Filipino, being from Memphis, it's literally impossible for me to not love basketball.
Right.
Not even it's impossible to not love the game of basketball. It means so much to me. It means so much to my parents, to my family, to my country, the Philippines, and to the city that I'm from. And that's where it's come from. That's where my passion for sports comes from, for basketball specifically. And in terms of media stuff, kind of also on the same vein, my dad is one of the best speakers I've ever seen in my life. He
really
can do a speech without writing any notes. I've seen him do many speeches before. He writes nothing down, nothing, and he delivers phenomenal speeches. He's such a great public speaker, and seeing him do that made me want to work on my craft as a speaker, as doing content, and working on myself and how I speak in a professional level. And I always wanted to do some sort of sports media. I did a radio show in college and did a basketball podcast for several years. I still technically do it. I'm just really busy. It hasn't ended. I still do it. I think the last thing I recorded was maybe in December of last year. So I still do it. And Tigers Live obviously was a massive thing that I need to devote my attention and energy into as well. But it's really being Filipino, Memphis, my father, and are the big reasons why basketball is a big passion of mine.
Well, shout out to Wayno for that question. Very much so. But his wife is Filipino. He said he's always trying to play nice in the comment sections because usually they're a little ruthless. But shout out to you, Wayno. I know he's on what do they call it? It's not vacation. He called it or something earlier.
What leave? Or
no.
What's the word?
What is it, Wayno? I know I saw it. I can't find it right now. He's on. It's not sabbatical. What do they call on vacation over there and overseas? I know it's somewhere. Somebody, I will see it in a second. And I'll be like, I'm an idiot. Anyway, holidays. Yes. So it's not
Holidays.
vacation. They call it
Holiday.
holidays. And the reason I say that is because I watch Bluey and they always talk about going on a holiday. And I'm like, I had
Holiday.
no idea. So,
There you go.
yep, shout out to you. All right, this is the Tigers question. So we're obviously run up to time. I don't want to be here too much longer. But let's ask you a question. I know this is about the Tigers. Any thoughts on getting PJ Haggerty or Dane Danger?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Dane Danger. That's right. We're in the danger zone, all the cliches, etc. But I'll start on Haggerty first because I think talking about Danger after makes sense for the reasons that I'll mention in a moment. One, I kind of talk same thing, talking about dudes who have shake, who don't. Haggerty has the shake. He has the wiggle. He's so crafty with the ball in his hands. He's shout out to one of my favorite people who interacted on Tigers Live a lot, Wayne Kelly. He replied to my tweet about PJ Haggerty saying, so is he kind of like Caleb Mills again? And I thought that's a good comparison. And then my response to Coach Kelly was he's a quicker, more burst Caleb Mills. And because Caleb has the shake, he's so crafty in the mid-range. He can get to his spot. He can finish at the rim. And he's such a smooth, fluid offensive player. Same exact thing with PJ Haggerty. He is so smooth with the basketball. The ball just sits to his hands. He's long. He's a big guard. He can finish around the trees going down low. He's a very good player, and he's also quick. He's genuinely has a burst that separates him from a Caleb Mills. Like Caleb Mills was a little slower, didn't have the burst, but Haggerty definitely does. His three-point shot could improve. it can improve. I think he shot about 30%, 30.8 from three last year. So his three-point shot is a work in progress, but I don't think you're going to need that consistent three-point production from Haggerty. He's a driver. He's a slasher. He's a very good playmaker as well. And that's when I'll transition to Dane Danger, because Danger is a big man. That's a large human being that Memphis just signed to play center. But he's also fluid. He's also light on his feet. You know, the people talk about, oh, is he just Jordan Brown? I don't think so. Jordan Brown couldn't jump over a piece of paper. And Dane Danger definitely can. He can get up. Like he has, you're like, whoa, you don't expect his athleticism. Like he can get up and he can move. He can move his feet. He can move laterally, and he can set really firm screens being such a large guy and just dive to the rim. And I'm excited to see what a PJ Haggerty Dane Danger pick and roll would look like, because I think that's bread and butter right there. That's a match made in heaven. Peanut butter and jelly. That's what that is in my opinion. They're going to fit really well together. And, you know, I still think Memphis should go get another big, because right now it's just Jordan is the only big, and then Danger, and there's still time, transfer portal, etc. But I like Danger. I think it's going to surprise some people. You look at his stats and you're like, 6 points a game, 3 rebounds, whatever. But he should have gotten more playing time in Illinois. He's going to get that at Memphis, hopefully. And I'm excited for both of them.
Yeah, this is my next question. And actually, King Meeks just put it in the comments. If you're in the Memphis staff, somebody or maybe a group of players or whoever that you would target and say, hey, these guys in transfer portal or these guys that have been rumored, whatever it might be, who would you look to go after to kind of solidify this team? Because from my understanding, and I want you to tell, we're expecting to have, some of the guys that are on this team to come back, right? So David Jones, expect him to come back, correct? As of now?
As of now, yeah. As of now, I don't have any breaking news for y'all.
Right,
that's Hitman Hoops about that one, but he's right now. He is expected to come back, correct?
Okay. So anybody you would look after if you were looking at guys, whether it's rumors or just kind of thoughts in your head of what you would do to kind of solidify this team.
I really think Penny's got to get real shooters on this roster, and dudes who can complement the ball dominant players like Haggerty and like David Jones if they come back. They really need to now figure out a way to fill out the rest of the roster that complement your 2 best players. Because if David Jones comes back, you have PJ Haggerty. You already got Danger, who is a big man who can play his role to a good degree. If Jordan comes back, same thing. Stretch big, can play his role to a high level. Now you need someone who can complement David Jones and Haggerty, and that's just a straight up sniper from deep. I really want Andrei Stojakovic, the transfer from Stanford.
Okay.
That would, if we got him, I would be so happy. I know Stanford, his year wasn't phenomenal, but he's a high level recruit who's known to be a very good shooter and a very good perimeter player who can complement talented guards and talented big men as well. I know there's talks about trying to get Khalif Battle transfer from Arkansas. I don't love it because he just reminds me of David Jones. He's just reminds me of another shot chucker and who's going to be ball dominant. And you already have David Jones to be the ball dominant, high volume scorer, and you already have Haggerty too. Haggerty is a high volume scorer as well, not as ball dominant, but I don't know if I would want it. I don't know if I'd want Khalif Battle, but he is talented. You know, Memphis got him. I wouldn't be upset. You can never have truly, too much scoring. Well, I'll take that back. I'll take it back. We had too much of the same mold last season. So I want people who can complement each other, fill out the rest of the roster. Definitely try and go get another big. Like I said, a name isn't coming to the top of my mind, but trying to get another big. And really, so my main priority would be getting guys who complement what they already have. Because Haggerty's the best player in the transfer portal or second best player in the portal. David Jones was, well, in my opinion, he should have been an All-American last year. And you got Nick Jourdain coming back, Danger on the team. Now we need guys who can complement what they already have.
And you spoke about the surrounding the two best players with complementary pieces. Who are the two best players for you? I would assume one of them is David Jones. Who's the other one in your eyes? The second best player on this team?
It would be Haggerty. Yeah, it would be PJ Haggerty by a pretty decent margin. David Jones and PJ Haggerty could be like a Kendrick Davis, DeAndre Williams type thing. Obviously, DJ and DeAndre are not the same player by any stretch of the imagination. But in terms of being a dynamic duo, I think that's what they would be. So Haggerty would be, second best player, even pushing David Jones for that top spot too. Haggerty's a stud.
Lightning DJ wants to know about Caleb Mills and David Jones. Kind of chances on them coming back. I would assume at this point, we're thinking that David Jones is coming back. I have no clue about Caleb Mills.
Yeah, Caleb Mills is, if I remember correctly, he's trying to get a medical waiver to come back. I don't know off the top of my head on the status of that medical waiver. Again, that's a question for Hitman, who's way more plugged into the ins and outs of the program than I am. But if Caleb can come back, if the waiver is possible, if that's really a thing that could really happen for him, then I would love to have him back as a locker room guy who can also score, who can distribute, who can defend. Because that's what surprised me the most about Caleb Mills last year before he got hurt was how good he was defensively.
Right.
I remember doing my deep dive on Caleb Mills entering the year and thinking to myself, offensively he's there, but the defensive side, like that's a real issue. And then he comes into the season and he was a stud. He was one of the best perimeter defenders on the team. And you saw it that the Tigers' perimeter defense really took a turn once he got injured. Yeah. And so if he comes back, I would definitely welcome. I'd welcome Caleb Mills with open arms for sure.
Yeah, and my thoughts on the David Jones thing I heard on the radio the other day is, I think it was Gary Parrish that said, pay attention to Zach Edey and the NIL stuff about international players. From my understanding, is David Jones, can't get paid but a certain amount, if anything at all, because of the NIL money. And so I do believe that that's kind of where he stands. And so if for some reason they would open it up to a government visa to be able to make money off the NIL, then there would be potential where, David Jones would transfer because he might be able to get more money from somewhere else. But from my understanding is he's not making anything. If it is, it's very limited because of the NIL restrictions on his government visa. So that's my only understanding. All right. Last question from the chat. And then I'm going to ask mine. This one should be a quick one. Do you know anything about Aaron Scott from North Texas as a fit?
Yeah. From what I know of him, he's a 3-and-D type wing that I think would be athletic 3-and-D type wing that would be a great complement to what Memphis already has. And, he reminded me of. I don't think he was athletic as TFL Leonard from last year, who transferred to Memphis and then left Memphis, and that was a whole fiasco and whole thing. But yeah, I think Aaron Scott would be good. I think he'd be a good guy to bring in, another guy who knows his role and could play his role to a high level. To the staff question before, that I care so much entering this season to get a group of guys who know their role and buy into it. That clearly was not a thing for last year's roster. They may have known their role, but Daniel, they did not buy in to what their role was supposed to be. And that's character issues. That's also coaching staff issues as well. Like, that's a whole plethora of things. But they've really got to prioritize guys who know the role and can buy into it. And I think Scott would do that. So, yeah, I think he would be a good shout for sure.
As The Rock says, know your role and shut your mouth. What you don't want to shut your mouth on is Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. That's a grassroots business that was started right here in Memphis. They are the official sponsor of our guest, Francis Carlotta. Chef Smith is a Memphian that promotes healthy eating and wellness. Are you looking to go cook at home? Well, go get Chef Smith cookbook. You can have it right at home, even out there in beautiful Cali. You can get it off of Amazon. Download it today. Heaven's Healthy Kitchen continues to do monthly pop-ups. They just did one back in the 7th of April, so 2 days ago. They had their April one, and so I hope you did not miss out. But make sure you go check out Heaven's Healthy Kitchens at orderhhk.com. They are serving and catering plant-based and vegan gourmet foods straight to you. Last question. We'll get you out of here. I know I hit on it earlier, but speaking of food, speaking of God that probably is a little bit hungry at times, but Milt Chamberlain himself, the flurry curry or the blurry curry. What are some other ones? Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar. That's my favorite one personally.
Yeah.
That's
all right. What's your thoughts on him? Just overall, I don't think there's a chance in the world he would come to Memphis, but I think he's an Indiana guy. I think he would go to Indiana. He's white, plays basketball very boring and slow. Seems to want to go there. So he kind of fits to me. But thoughts on him? He kind of took over a lot of the, over at Indiana State. I don't even know his real name. It's like Abdia or something.
Robbie Avila. Yeah, Robbie Avila. Yeah.
And so thoughts on him, because I've really just kind of gravitated to a guy who kind of is a college Jokic, as they say.
Right. I have a soft spot for guys like that because I am not at that level of a basketball player. But when I play pickup, with friends and whatever, that's who I aspire to be. Like, that type of ball player is who I aspire to be. Like, I'm 6'2", 245-ish. Like, I'm a big dude, and I like to think I can make good reads and pass and shoot and et cetera, et cetera. But either way, I love his play style. I love the way he plays the game of basketball. I love the goggles that he wears too. Yep. It's like a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Smoke and magic trick, because you see him, you're like, oh, he ain't nothing. He doesn't have it. What is he gonna do out there with goggles? Are you kidding me? It's the whole, like, you hear the story when Larry Bird went to the first Celtics practice, and you're like, all right, what's this dude gonna got? What's this dude gonna do? First three, bang. Next three, bang. You're like, all right, okay, there's something there. And it's the same thing with Robbie Avila. You can underestimate him at your own risk, and I think nowadays you probably can't because he has all the publicity and he's balled out this year. But either way, like, I love watching him play. He is like a little Jokic. He can pop out, hit a three in someone's face. He can be crafting the post and get to the rim. He can make every single pass on the floor. I love it. I don't think there's any chance he's a Tiger. I don't think there's any chance. But if he would be a Tiger, oh man, that'd be so fun. That would just be so fun if he were. But he's an Indiana State dude. He's probably going to stay regional and get a bag, like get a lot of money in NIL, because he's so popular right now. He's one of the most popular names in college basketball. So yeah, I'm happy for him. Happy to see him play at such a high level, and I hope he finds his way on an NBA roster and surprises some people and makes some waves there.
Yeah, go get that bag, man, for sure. I hope that he takes it serious. And really just kind of slims down just a tiny bit and just kind of and sees like, hey, like, my game could accelerate so much if he just kind of pick up a half step. Don't go full Gunther mode. We're talking about WWE. Like, don't go from from complete dad bod to just kind of ripped up 8% body fat. I'm not asking for that. I'm talking about just get to your point where you can get a half step where you're able to just move a little bit better than play defensively, because his defense was atrocious. But, what does he want out of it? And he is so much fun to watch because he has the skills are just incredible. So
off the charts.
Yeah. So a shout out to him, but shout out to you. Tonight was awesome. Tonight was fun. We've never had a chance to do a show, and so we're going to obviously try to do more in the future. We have all summer that we're going to do this show, and so it'll be every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Central for any of you that are wondering. I am going to be on vacation next week, so for all of you, I don't know if we'll do a show this next Tuesday coming up, but we do have 3 more games left, and so tomorrow night we're going to have Ryan Meadows, who's joined us in the past, and then Friday I am out of here because it's me and my wife's anniversary, our 10-year anniversary. So I'm definitely not going to I'm not taking chances on that. I'm not stupid. So Nate will be here, and then we'll wrap up Sunday with my 2 kids. We're going to wrap up my 2 kids, and Nate will all kind of do a show together. They'll just do a little spot. So it'll be fun. They haven't come on all year, and they always do. And they were asking, so we had to bring them on. But Francis, obviously Tigers Live. Anything else you're doing, or anything that you want to kind of put out before we get out of here?
Yeah, it's Tigers Live after every single Memphis Tigers basketball game. Look out for it once the season starts back up. Like Daniel said, we're gonna go back into the workshop, trying to figure out what was good, what was bad, and improve the show. I'm super excited for next year, and also I'm still going to be writing about the Memphis Tigers as well. I talk about the season that just happened, but also look ahead. It's time to look ahead, what they can do to develop. How important is this year for Penny Hardaway? For my money, it's the most important year in Penny Hardaway's tenure in the Memphis Tigers. This is it. This is the most important year, and I have a lot of thoughts about it that I want to write and put out there for everybody. So yeah, find myself, bluffcitymedia.com. Find me on Twitter at Slugga Sports, SLUGGA Sports, and my name is Francis Carlotta. And thanks, Daniel. This was great, dog. This was tons of fun. I've been wanting to come on for a while, talk Grizz basketball with you. You're the man, and maybe you're a wrestling guy, if I remember correctly, right? I was wondering if there would be like some celebrity cameos in this episode. You had Jonathan Coachman on an episode. I was like, I was sick to even see him. So I was like, man, what's going to happen? Is it going to pop up? But either way, this was still fantastic, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, you're the best. So I'll be on with Coach in the morning every Wednesday and Fridays at 9 Central. We go live at Driving the Line, and so I'm on that show now every Wednesday, Friday. So a lot of fun. Coach is the best. He's awesome, even behind the scenes. Kind of getting to know him so much, and so we're gonna actually do something this summer together. I think we're all gonna meet up in Nashville as I'm joining the franchise. I guess Driving the Line, but getting to know the guys. So yes, there will be a lot more talks for wrestling. I didn't realize how much of wrestling, so we'll have to get you on in the summer on a random Tuesday. We'll hit on some wrestling, but make sure you go. Coach's new show is Behind the Turnbuckle. He's shared a lot of good stories on Driving the Line on that show. So, but that's it. All right. So I've had fun. You've had fun. You're awesome as always. Let's go ahead and get out of here. We're way over our time, but that's what we do. This is probably a short show for you compared to the Tigers Live you are doing.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, you, me, Kenny, Kenny, and Roman, we can talk. So it can go for all. But yeah, again, thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Yep. You're the best. All right, that's all we got. Be nice and tell your friends.